Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Glad to be here talking about Trending Thursday. What's trending in the market? What news is driving the market in the direction it's going? We'll talk about that today and catch up on what's trending in the market. Always like the Trending Thursday because it keeps us on top of what's going on in the market, which I think is ideal to help us to get a feel and understanding of why the market is reacting the way that it is. So we're going to touch on those stories, and I'm going to have a little fun with you to show you that as a VectorVest subscriber, I am going to show you how you can stay up on what's trending all the time. Today is Trending Thursday. You notice that in the background we have the opening bell. I think that that is actually right on point for Trending Thursday, to be looking at all of the hustle and bustle. Thank you very much for that, David, for subscribing to Twitch Prime. Excellent. All right, so again, I like the background about what's going on at the opening bell. I like the picture that Joey put up about what's trending in Thursday. all right, what is that?
Shake my head one.
Shaking my hand one. I'm new and I'm using Robinhood. What's your advice? Well, one thing that we don't do, we don't give advice. We do give you guidance on how to use the VectorVest software to make decisions. So I work for a company called VectorVest. I've been here for 15 years. I am a senior instructor, and I show people how to effectively use the software to make money. Talking about if you're using Robinhood, Robinhood is a brokerage. We are not a brokerage. We are a tool to help you to analyze over 8,300 stocks for value, safety, and timing, and even in your Robinhood account to help you to make better decisions in the stocks that you choose. That's what I'm doing. So Trending Thursday, we're gonna keep on top of what's going on in the market. And you know what I always like to do? I always wanna keep an eye on what's going on in the market from the VectorVest standpoint. We're gonna start off with some market timing. Let's go see, before we get into what's trending in the market, let's start off with some market timing to give us a feel of what's going on, all right? This is especially for the people who are new to the VectorVest software. VectorVest, by the way, has been around for about 30 years. We are a tool, we are a stock analysis and portfolio management system. We're designed to help you analyze any of the stocks that we track, which currently is about 8,300 stocks. And we'll help you look at them from a standpoint of value, safety, and timing, all right? What you're looking at right here is something known as the VVC, or VectorVest Composite. It is an arithmetic indexed average of the over 8,300 stocks that we tracked in one ticker symbol. So when we're tracking the move of 8,300 stocks, we feel that it is a better representation of the broad market move. Not just looking at 30 stocks like you have in the Dow, or 500 stocks like you have in the S&P, or about 4,300 stocks that you have in the NASDAQ. Now, even though the NASDAQ tracks 4,300 stocks, it's very heavily weighted to the tech side. So many of your tech stocks are on the NASDAQ, and even though it tracks 4,300 stocks, it is very heavily weighted onto the tech side. When we look at the movement of 8,300 stocks in the market, we're looking at stocks across the market, no matter what industry or no matter what industry or sector it is, and we feel, again, tracking that many stocks, it's a better representation of the broad market move. Steve, thank you for the bits as well. Make sure you grab your keys. Listen, we'll get there. We'll get to the keys. We'll get to that stuff, all right? Just don't worry about it. So as we are looking at, let's look at the last 3 months of what's going on in the market. This is going to give us a better feel. Going in from May up until about July, the market mostly was in an uptrend. Even though it had some pullback days, the market was still hitting higher highs, all right? Market was in an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. Then the market turned around in about July, where we started putting on more talk about trade war with China, taxing imports. The market started falling, all right? Market started falling, and then the Fed came in and said, hey, we're going to lower rates. Market moved up again, and then still came back down. Notice that we're at a level of support on the VectorVest Composite, sitting at about $45.81. A wick here on this candle and a wick here on this candle confirm that we do have a solid level of support, and which normally means a market or a stock will bounce off of that support and move up. Now, I'm going to take off the last close and I'm going to put on support and resistance on the market. So to do that, we're going to click on Add Parameter. Oh, Joey, I need to see the whole side. Can you make that happen? So I'm going to click on Add Parameter on the graph. Thank you. We'll click on Add Parameter. And we're going to go down to a technical analysis, and we're going to go and add support resistance. Now, the cool thing about support and resistance is that VectorVest will automatically draw the lines of support and resistance on your graph for you based on your look back period. We'll click on it. Boom. Let's make that, change that to a different color real quick. And change the settings. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want to change the style. Change the style. Change that support line to red. And I'm going to change the resistance line to green. Why? Because I tend to like when a market is going to break through resistance, that it's going to tend to go up. That's bullish. When it gets to a level of support, it tends, me take that line off now. When it gets to a level of support, that's usually a bearish feel. So where are we now? We are in a big channel. The market is in a channel between a level of resistance at $47.38 and a level of support at $45.82. Keeping that in mind, the market is doing what for the most part? Moving sideways. Noticing the big open bars, which are bullish days, and the big red bars, which are bearish days, we have big swings up and down in the market, which denotes a market full of volatility. The market is volatile. The market is trying to bounce off a level of support. To say that this market is continuing to move higher, let's see if we can break above this level of $47.38. Now, you'll also see that we have moving averages on the graph. We're looking at a 3 and an 8 exponential moving average. Notice that on a couple of days ago, notice that on 8/20 of 2019, the 3 and the 8 on the market crossed back up bullish. The 3 is green, the 8 is red. I make it those colors because when green is above red, the 3 is above the 8, that's bullish. And when red is above green, the 3 is below the 8, that's bearish. So it makes it real simple for me to open up the graph and see if we're in a bullish uptrend or a bearish downtrend. Currently, we're still in a bullish uptrend. Notice that over the last 3 days, 2 down days, 1 up day, but overall still moving higher from the cross on the 3 and the 8 exponential moving average. All right, so there we go. Do we have a reversal candle today? Not really, Kirby. Normally, if the candle was at the top, if we had the close of the candle at the top, I could say that we are looking at a hanging man formation, but not quite there. I've got some selling pressure on the top, but more buying pressure on the bottom. Does that make sense, Kirby? Does that make sense? So I don't have a reversal candle today, not even a dark cloud cover, because the candle today needs to be at least halfway through this candle. So right now, I'm not going to call this a reversal candle. I am going to call it a down day, but look at the buying pressure with the big wick at the top. Look at the buying pressure. Normally, when you see a candle that's got a big wick at the bottom, when I normally see a candle with a big wick at the bottom, it normally tells me that I should still have some buying pressure the next day. Notice here, big wick at the bottom, buying pressure. Look what happened the next day. Big wick at the bottom, buying pressure the next day. Big wick at the bottom, still a green candle. Does that make sense? Not a huge wick at the bottom, but some buying pressure, up day the next day. Normally when I have a big wick at the top, that's selling pressure. Look at that. So I like that idea of looking at the wicks. Look at that selling pressure, and look at that bearish candle. Buying pressure, bullish candle. That sort of kind of makes sense, except for here, we got some buying pressure, but the market turned around. And actually, that was more of a hanging man right there. Learning to read candlesticks can really help you get a feel of what should happen the next day. Doesn't guarantee, it's not a science, but it does help you. So, bouncing off that level of support, market's trying to move higher, get to that level of resistance and break through, and break through. All right, thank you for the cheer again. So now, let's go out to the internet and let's get on board with what's trending in the market starting with our first story. The first story, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. The first story talks about the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City President Esther George said she still wants to see more data before the central bank's next policy setting meeting on September 18, paying special attention to any impacts of the ongoing trade war. All right, so with the that's key. With the that's big news still in the market right now. That's big news. The ongoing trade war between China and U.S. happens to move markets on a day-over-day basis. Why would it not be in trending Thursday? That is a big news. That is big news that is moving the market. You know, one day somebody says, hey, China's going to back off, or one day the U.S. says they're going to delay something. Those are the things that drive markets higher. And then when the fears come on about more trade war, it helps to push the market lower. So it's a lot of news-driven information that's been driving the market, thus letting us know that the market is more volatile right now, because all it takes is one tweet, one story, and the market could crash. One tweet, one story, and the market could rise exponentially. We are in the midst of a lot of volatility in the market right now. Don't lose sight of that, and don't lose sight that it is a news-driven market. They have continued to become concerns, uncertainty around the trade, George told Yahoo Finance, on the sidelines of the Kansas City Fed hosted Jackson Hole Conference. That is something else that's driving the market. All of the Fed chiefs are talking, and a lot of people in the market are listening. And in the listening, they're getting caught up in the understanding, oh, the market's going to go up, oh, the market's going to go down. And they're trading in the market emotionally instead of using their minds and having a plan in place, or having a tool at their disposal to make better decisions. When you invest on emotion, you're going to cut yourself out of possible winners. You're going to get out of stocks way too late. So both of those could be losing you money in the market. When you have a tool like I just showed you in the VectorVest software, looking at the VectorVest composite, that is pertinent information that's going to keep you on the right side of the trend. Currently, we're in a channel, and in that channel it's going to be tough to make money long term. But as a trader, I can get in and out based on those candlestick formations, based off of bouncing off support or resistance, to make better decisions. And all of the people on TV who get paid a lot of money to entertain you so that they get ratings, I don't want to be entertained. I'd rather be informed. And the VectorVest software is going to always keep you informed. Now, listening to me, I'm going to help to keep you entertained while you're learning and being better informed. So that's what it's all about. Volatility, hooray. And that's because Rhode Island is a big-time trader. I know that he does that, and that's what works for him. He loves the volatility, loves the volatilities. And thank you again for all of the bits that are coming up. I like the ice cream bit. There you go. I like ice cream, and I cannot lie. Well, anyway, Deacon says, hasn't the Fed messed more things than they've ever fixed? Listen, that is more opinion than anything, more so than anything. So I'll leave that there. I personally didn't think that the Fed needed to lower the rates. I thought the economy was doing just fine. That's just me. But I also know that the economies across the globe are starting to feel the effects of a slowing economy. And I think that we're trying to get on, as a global economy, is our economy falling? I saw that jobs were still at all-time highs. I saw that inflation was still being kept under wraps. Interest rates are still at the lowest prices that they've been. And keep in mind that the three things that move markets globally are earnings, interest, and inflation. Earnings is the good guys. As long as companies are making money and beating earnings, we're going to be in a bull market. You want interest and inflation, though, to be low, because those are the bad guys. So in a Goldilocks scenario, you want a rising market with rising earnings, falling interest rates, and falling inflation. That is the perfect scenario of a perfect bull market. Now, when interest and earnings start to rise, but earnings are still rising, we're still in a bull market, but the bad guys are weighing in on that Goldilocks scenario. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Denmark negative interest rates. Listen, you're going to see slowly but surely. I heard a story about somebody else was entering into negative interest rates. And you know, if this is a slowing global economy, maybe more and more countries will get to that point. I hope that we don't. I hope that we don't. But I think that lowering rates to bolster our economy is not enough to bolster the economies across the globe. And if this is a global slowdown, then, you know, I guess everybody's going to do what they need to do to bolster their economy so that they don't go into recessionary means, all right? And I'm not going to talk a lot about the inversion curve. I think the more important story to pay attention to is the interest, all right? The interest rates. And we'll see if we're going to continue to lower the interest rates to spur the economy even more than what it is. Hi, Terry. Good to see you, my friend. All right. So, blocked by YouTube. Crazy Mac? I hope not. Keeping up. I prefer to move faster, and please stop calling me Shirley. Okay, bye. All right. So that was the first story talking about George. I'll be watching the data up until the time the meeting starts. So that's key in looking at whether they are going to lower rates or keep rates the same. Keeping on top of, this is just one Fed chief talking about, I'll be watching the data up until the time the meeting starts. So I think people are on the fence, the Feds are, whether they want to raise or lower, lower rates or keep them the same. All right, let's go. The next story is another Fed, Fed Harkin. Fed Harkin doesn't see a need for another rate cut. Says central banks should stay here for a while. Now you're seeing the different Fed chiefs, and again, this is all part of what's going on as a trending in the market. This is big news. This is big news. Philadelphia Fed President Patrick Harkin said Thursday that while he went along with the central bank's rate cut in July, he doesn't see the case for additional stimulus. This is a second Fed chief talking now. We're roughly where neutral is. It's hard to know exactly where neutral is, but I think we're roughly where neutral is right now. And I think we should stay here for a while and see how things play out. So that's a different Fed chief talking about what to do with interest rates. At its July policy meeting, the Federal Reserve appeased markets. See that? They appeased markets. What is the Fed supposed to do? The Fed is supposed to be looking after the economy, right? So they appeased markets by cutting the target rate towards overnight lending rate 25 basis points. All these Fed governors need to go somewhere else, or else all they do is cause recessions. Well, you know, that is key statement there, that they appeased markets, not taking care of the economy. Very interesting tell right there. Harkin, who isn't a voting member in the Fed Open Market, the FOMC, said that while he offered tepid support for the central bank's 25 basis point cut in July, he preferred to wait to see before advocating for more easing. So that's two Fed chiefs saying the same thing, that they want to see what will get more data before they drop rates anymore. Every recession is caused by the Fed. Again, that's still market related, so I'll keep that out there. The labor markets, there we go. The labor markets are strong. Inflation is moving up slowly, but with the last CPI print, it was a good print, he said. Remember, the three things that move markets: earnings, interest, and inflation. What moves economies? Jobs. Inflation. Still, and in keeping all that in mind, inflation is moving up slowly. He didn't say that inflation was an issue that we had to stave off. This is another Fed chief talking. All right. Following Harkin's comments, the bond market's main yield curve inverted for the third time in less than 2 weeks. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the curve inversion. More so, I want you to pay more attention, as you are hearing right now, to what's going on with interest rates. I think that that's a little bit more important than the yield curve. And keeping in mind, even with the yield curve inversion, and everybody says that it precedes a recession, but it still takes about a year or two before a recession occurs after that. So interest rates is more important. Interest, inflation, and earnings. That's absolutely right, Joff. Those are the three things that move markets. All right, let's change gears. The next story talks about the auto companies in India caught more jobs halt production to tackle the slowdown. So looking at the global slowdown, India is getting caught up in that, and they are cutting jobs from the auto industry. New Delhi, with India's auto sales declining for the 9th straight month in July, more automotive manufacturers are laying off workers and temporarily halting production to keep costs in check, according to sources and documents seen by Reuters. All right, so now as we talk about the trade war, it is not just between the U.S. and China. Actually, it is between the U.S. and China primarily, but it affects globally. And the Indian market is feeling the effects by laying off people in that industry to cut back so that they can improve the bottom line to keep it in the black and not in the red. Denso Corp's India unit, which makes powertrain and air conditioning systems for cars, has laid off about 350 temporary workers. That's big, right? At any plant. In its Manesar plant in North India, a source familiar with the matter told Reuters. Belsanica, which is part owned by India's biggest car maker, Maruti Suzuki, and makes fuel tanks and brake pads, has let go more than 350 workers. Man, that's just a lot of people being laid off. In a meeting with India's finance ministry on August 7th, industry executive asked for tax cuts and easier access to finance for dealers and buyers in an effort to revive sales. So they're trying to get whatever they can to bring up or perk up the sales of the automobiles in their country. What about Twitter? What happened with Twitter? Do I have anything about Twitter up here? I don't think so. I'll check into that crazy mad whack. I don't know, Brian. I didn't see any specific thing as far as trending on Twitter. All right, so the auto industry in India is being affected by what's going on. And how about this? I have another story to look at concerning another automaker, and that's Volkswagen. Now, Volkswagen was very interested or not interested in buying a Tesla stake. All right, I guess there was news out there that they were interested in buying into Tesla, but they said on Thursday it was not interested in taking a stake on Tesla, denying the media report that the CEO, Herbert Diess, wanted to buy shares in the U.S. company to access its software and battery technology. So with that kind of news, could that have bolstered Tesla if Volkswagen was trying to get involved with it, but they denied the story? Manager Magazine and Diess meets with Tesla's CEO on a regular basis because of the U.S. car maker's expertise in software and battery cell design, and that Tesla has so far rebuffed Volkswagen's efforts at striking an alliance. Diess would go in right away if he could. So he would do it, but it doesn't look like Tesla and Volkswagen can get together on what's going on with that. Only if Volkswagen paid $420 per share. Wait a minute, what is Tesla worth? We'll take a look at Tesla in a second. An obstacle, however, would be to get the consent of Volkswagen's controlling Peach and Porsche families to fund the stake purchase, the magazine said. So I don't know who Peach is. I do know who Porsche is. Peach and Porsche. Sounds like a pie. Have some Peach and Porsche pie. All right, anyway, that sounds funny though. Anyway, they would need to be on board with that as well. They would need to be on board with that as well. All right, so let's talk about the next story. The next story includes or looks at the streaming business. Netflix to lose market share as Disney, Apple enter this space. You remember the days when Netflix was the only thing out there? Was the only thing out there to stream? Now with other big companies, Disney's got a lot of money, got a lot of content that they can stream. Apple's got a lot of money, probably can buy into a lot of content that they can stream. So Netflix is going to lose market share, which is going to help to drive the stock's price lower. According to an ex-marketer, Netflix dominance in the streaming space appears to be slipping as rivals such as Hulu, Amazon, and Disney begin to pick up momentum. Yahoo Finance, Zach Guzman, and discussed the retail report, Aaron Sykes. So that's big news, and that could affect the Netflix stock tremendously. If they start to lose more market share, people are going to start pulling out of the stocks. Wonder if Netflix gets bought by Apple. Whoa, that's big news. You heard it right here from Deacon Blues. What's that, Deacon Blues? Oh, Netflix might be bought out by Apple. News at 11. All right, so that would be a very interesting thing. Netflix, even though it's got a lot of money, Apple's got more. Or how about this? What if Disney were to buy Netflix? You think Disney would buy Netflix? Either one of these could buy to get them out of the space. Either one of them could buy Netflix to get them out of the space. But guess what? You'd have to pay a ton of money for Netflix. Apple's got it. I'm sure Disney has got it. They have to pay a lot of money. The price of olive oil is supposed to go up. Any particular stocks for this? I don't know. I didn't see that story either about olive oil. That was Popeye's girlfriend, right? Oh, Popeye. That was olive oil. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I'd have to look deeper into that, Maroon, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. What did Kirby say? Tesla is $221 a share. Oh, but Steve said that only a Volkswagen paid $420 per share. Listen, that's what? Almost double? And Volkswagen ain't going to do it. That's right. Interesting question, says Hostile Viking. New hairspray. New hairspray? I don't know. Is for olive oil? Uh-oh. I don't know about that either. All right. So keep your eye on Netflix. The next story gets into a payment company, PayPal. PayPal falls as Aiden ready to process payments for eBay. Ooh. So more and more companies are pushing over to PayPal for ease of payment. But here's another company, Aiden. Let's read this. Aiden, which is got the ticker symbol of ADYN, set on its track to handle most of eBay's volumes, though PayPal is still handling the majority of its old parents' volumes. So a new kid on the block is stepping up. Oh, bye. Anyway, a new kid on the block, Aiden, and I don't know how new they are, but it's probably Adian, probably more so Adian, is going after that PayPal business, which could push PayPal price down as well. Citing Adian CFO Ingo, that last name, on a conference call. eBay is currently using Adian on a pilot basis. Oh, so if they look really good on the pilot basis, they could be in line to overtake PayPal as their primary company to use for payment. Interesting. eBay had previously said its agreement with PayPal is good through mid-2020, and the shift would occur over several years. But if you're moving over to a company that you like on a pilot basis, that's going to affect PayPal as a whole, right? ADN not in list of VectorVest 7. So if it gets to be a big player and overtake PayPal, that might be a stock. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to see if we can get that added to the database. Since we don't track it, ADYEN, I'm going to see if we can get that added to our database. All right, let's go see. So that's what's going on with PayPal. My next story talks about another company that sells stuff like Overstock. But the Overstock CEO steps down. While I believe that I did what was necessary for the good of the country, for the good of the firm, I am in the sad position of having to sever ties with Overstock. That could affect the Overstock price to go down. Aiden trades on Amsterdam Exchange. Thank you, Tweezer. I appreciate that. Overstock was fun today. So just think about that. If the CEO steps down, technically a lot of people feel not as comfortable with the stock in lieu of waiting for getting the information on which new person will be the CEO. All right, shares are currently halted with trading to resume at 12:30. So, Rhode Island, did you play that? Look at the Overstock chart. I'm going to look at all of these stocks. I'm going to look at all of these stocks. All of these stocks that we're talking about, they're all in a watch list that we're going to pay attention to in a second. All right. The next story on Trending Thursday deals with Home Depot. Let's scroll up. Home Depot stock rises on better than expected profits. This happened earlier in the week. So did Target. Home Depot and Target were the big movers of the market a couple of days ago when the market moved up. All right. Home Depot's fiscal second quarter earnings easily surpassed estimates, but total sales came in short of expectations. All right. The home improvement retailer trims its full year revenue outlook, partially due to worries about tariffs. Ta-da! Oops. Tariffs, just click. Tariffs are still, no matter what industry you're in, for the most part, tariffs are a big story. They are big. That's why we started off talking about the interest rates and the tariffs in general, or even why interest rates will be affected by the tariffs as well. So Target went up, Home Depot went up. Depot, I call it Depot. Home Depot. We continue to view Home Depot as a best-in-class operator, but the softer macro and housing trends remain an overhang. Tesla Advisory Group analyst Joseph Feldman said in a research note. All right. Home Depot CEO Craig Menear said the company trimmed its 2019 outlook due to continued lumber price deflation, as well as potential impacts of the U.S. consumer arising from recently announced tariffs. Think about it. The tariffs affect the individual companies, which affect us in having to pay more money for goods. Well, if I have to pay more money for goods, that takes money out of my pocket. If it takes money out of my pocket, I'm going to be less inclined to consider buying a new home. If I'm less inclined to buy a new home, how about the lumber that I was going to buy, I'm not going to buy to build my new home? Just think about that. Okay, I got you, Rhode Island. All right. And the last story that we're going to get in today for Trending Thursday is oil. Oil eases as Fed's Jackson Hole meetings gets underway. Oil prices weakened on Thursday as worries about the global economy weighed and equity markets were under pressure as uncertainty over the outlook of the U.S. interest rates left investors on edge. There's a lot. Interest rates and tariffs are the big news in the market, and you can see how other companies are being affected by it, whether it's the auto companies or Volkswagen. The Netflix, not nearly as much based on interest rates and inflation. Neither is PayPal, neither is Overstock, but Home Depot and oil. So the majority of our stories had some connection to what's going on in the market as far as tariffs or interest rates. Not that they are burning the Amazon forest. No, not they. Who's burning the Amazon forest? Oh, lumber is getting cheaper. All right, lumber is getting cheaper. Deacon says Kramer has a new for retail group list. Watch Walmart, Amazon, Target, Costco, and Home Depot. Well, you know something, Deacon? What can you do with those right now? Put them into a VectorVest watch list. Drip is up 2.62% today. Nugget is down. All right. So now let's take all of this news, all of these stocks, and I'm going to go back into the software. This is the list of the stocks that we talked about. I put Nugget in there because I knew that gold was still hot for the most part, but let's go see. Look at that. Gold is dropping today. But what I did with the list, we have Nugget, we have Home Depot. I also put Lowe's in here. I put Overstock, PayPal, Netflix, Ford, because of the companies that were being affected by layoffs, and Volkswagen. All right, those are the companies that we looked at in Trending Thursday. Let's analyze them in a VectorVest watch list, and this is called Trending Thursday 8/22 of 2019. I have 8 stocks in here. Again, Nugget is in here because I knew that gold was hot, and I'm going to take this list that's sorted by VST. All right, I'm going to take this list that is sorted by VST, and I'm going to sort it by RT. I want to see which stocks in here are moving the fastest. Nugget is still at the top of the list, Kirby. It's got an RT of 1.78. Overstock is right behind it. All right, let's analyze it though. Nugget on an ETF, RV and RS are not applicable, but RT tells me that Nugget is still on the rise. Nugget is still on the rise. VST at 1.36. CI still above 1. Looks like Overstock investors are happy about the CEO going. I'm going to take a look at that. The stock is still a buy. So Kirby is talking about, let me do this. Layout, auto fit all columns. There we go. Overstock. The price is at $21.29. Definitely overvalued, Kirby. But look at that. Look at the fundamentals on Overstock. The RV, the upside potential is not there. The safety, relative safety is not there. What's driving it? Maybe you're right, Kirby. Maybe it's the news that they are getting a new CEO is driving the stock's price higher because RT is definitely above the value of 1. The stock is in an uptrend. This is more of a what kind of a trade? Is this a trade or investment? Type it in the room. Is this a trade or an investment? Type it in the room. That's right. This is more of a trade. But having a software like VectorVest is ideally suited to take the news that we saw and analyze the stock to get us a better feel of, is it the news that's driving it, or is the stock fundamentally sound that you want to invest in? Now that you saw the news, now Rhode Island says, or an investment. I am not calling this an investment, especially because the fundamentals, the RV and the RS for the stock are not good. I am not calling this investment at all. At all. What's driving it is the news. RT is nicely above 1. The stock's in an uptrend. I, based on the fundamentals, would not call it an investment. Now, Lowe's, on the other hand, the stock is fairly valued, right? It's not that much over its value. It's fairly valued. Good upside potential. Well, it's favorable. RV is above 1. Relative safety. The stock is going to have a high possibility of meeting or exceeding earnings. Now, going back to Overstock, buy leap, sell front months, that's the only way I would play that, is if I'm going to play it long term, is from that perspective. But not everybody in the room knows how to do that, Rhode Island, which is why I didn't go that direction, which is why I'm saying, just from the simplicity of the software, this stock is not a long-term investment. Just from the simplicity of utilizing the software, I'm letting you know by that means it's not a long-term investment. So Lowe's has a favorable upside potential, favorable safety, and the stock is in an uptrend, and it's a buy. That is more so a longer-term investment. That is more, the fundamentals are good and the stock is going up. Home Depot, a little overvalued. Upside potential, favorable. Safety, favorable. RT, good. So looking at these stocks where the RV, RS, and RT are all favorable, compare that to Overstock, this is why I say these stocks are more so investments, whereas Overstock, by way of the analysis in the software, is telling me it's more of a trade. Next one, PayPal, overvalued. But just because a stock is overvalued, I didn't mention this, just because a stock is overvalued doesn't make it a bad investment or bad trade. Look at the RV. Does the stock have good upside potential? Yes, it does. Is it favorable as far as relative safety? Yes, it is. What's hurting PayPal right now? That the stock is in a downtrend. That makes sense. What did the news talk about? A possible other company overtaking the payment on eBay. That makes sense that the stock's RT is below 1. It's pulling back, as possibly investors are pulling back on buying the stock. That makes sense. Volkswagen, possibility of looking to get a stake in Tesla. They said, no, we're not going to do that. Stock is undervalued. Fundamentally, man, this is a 3-time loser. The upside potential is unfavorable. The safety is unfavorable. The stock right now RT is unfavorable. It's in a downtrend. Just keeping your eye on that. The VST is at 0.84, and it's a hold recommendation. How about Volkswagen has negative earnings and negative earnings growth? The fundamentals make sense that they are not good when a company can't effectively make money. But they make good cars. I have a Volkswagen. I have a Passat. I have the Wolfsburg edition. I love the car. And I think that German car companies put out great cars. But unfortunately, they have negative earnings and negative earnings growth rate, which is affecting the fundamentals of the stock. They're not there, and the stock is in a downtrend. All right. Next one is Ford. Pretty fairly valued. Upside potential, unfavorable. Safety, unfavorable. And the stock's in a downtrend, and it's also a hold. How about they have positive earnings, but negative earnings growth rate? So they're making money, but they're growing at a negative clip, and that can happen with slowing car sales, right? That can happen with slowing car sales. How about Volkswagen with its negative earnings growth rate? Why? That happens with negative car sales. Give me another car company. Give me another car company that's out there. I'm very interested in looking at that industry as a whole. Give me another car company ticker symbol. Anybody? 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 Fiat, FCAU. All right, what else? GM, Chevy. Does Chevy have a ticker symbol? Tesla does, TSLA. All right, what other companies? GM, that's a manufacturer. I'll put that up there, GM. Anybody else? Give me one more. Datsun, Datsun's not even in existence anymore. Datsun's got bought out. All right, we'll take those three. I'm very interested in looking at the other car companies. This is not in the trending Thursday, but I'm very interested. Fiat. How about they're a good company, undervalued, good upside potential. The safety is not there. The stock is not in an uptrend right now, but look at that. They have positive earnings and positive earnings growth. Positive earnings, so if I'm looking at a car company, Fiat may not be a bad way to go. All right, General Motors, undervalued, good earnings, good earnings growth. From a car, let's go also see, good upside potential. The safety is not there. Notice that on Ford, the safety is not there. Notice that on Fiat, the safety is not there. Notice on Volkswagen, the safety is not there. But notice on Tesla, the safety is there. Safety tells me if the consistency and predictability of a company's financial performance, and it's also a indicator of risk. Also an indicator of risk. What are y'all talking about? Datsun. I mean, Datsun's not even around. I know, and Terry said that's old. I totally agree with that. Race for Ferrari. That's right. Let me put that up there real quick. Ferrari is in here. Let's go take a look at Ferrari. And the only reason why I'm looking at these car companies is because part of the trending was looking at the tariffs, right? Where is Race? There's Ferrari, way over its value. Look at the fundamentals on Ferrari. The RV is unfavorable. Safety is unfavorable. RT is unfavorable. It does have positive earnings and positive earnings growth, but fundamentally not sound. Fundamentally not sound. So there you go. With a CI of 0.48, on which stock? 0.48. You're talking about on Tesla? All right, so what is CI? CI looks at the comfort index. Comfort index looks at the stock's ability to withstand long or lengthy price declines. So with a CI of below 1, this stock is more susceptible to big downturns. And you've seen that happen on Tesla. You've seen that happen on Tesla. You've seen a stock's price fall. You've seen Tesla fall hard. Well, when you look at CIs above the value of 1, these are companies that tend to go up more than they go down and not as susceptible to downtrends in the big time. CI, Cigars International? No. I can't see how Tesla is safe. Well, when I looked at Tesla, it's got a relative safety of 1.04. So what is it? It is favorable. That Home Depot is safe. Does that make sense? Home Depot is safe with a value of 1.4. With a value of 1.04, it's very close to 1. So it's favorable. that Home Depot is safe. Does that make sense, Terry? Does that make sense? All right, let's do one last thing. Let's take a look at all of these on a graph, right? Click on them. Let's view the stock graph. So we got them in the news. Now let's analyze them. We already analyzed them. Let's look at the graph. I'm going to put on, from a swing trade perspective, the 20 exponential moving average. I'm also going to put on the earnings per share. We'll do that. How about gold is pulled back, but still above the longer term 3 and the 8? How about the above the 20? Above the 20. So still above the 20. Where did the price fall today? Right to that 20 exponential moving average. Let's go to the next one. Overstock. So just like Kirby said, maybe people like the idea of a new CEO. The stock started rising. It is above the 20 exponential moving average. Look at the pullback though. I got a little bit of selling pressure, even though it's a good, nice up bar. How about the stock as a whole? RT is rising. That's because price moves RT. RT does not move price. It's the other way around. Price moves RT. If the stock's price is going up, RT will kick off. Watch earnings though. Earnings is lower on a 1-year period. So Overstock got beaten up. Look at that. Broke through the downtrend, went up. Made a new downtrend, broke through the downtrend, went up. And now doing that all over again. This is more of a, over the 1 year, not the ideal graph I'm looking for. Lowe's, man, for it to be a safe company, it's got a lot of volatility in it over the last year. Currently just jumped up above the 20, still above the 20. That is a hanging man. That could be a possible reversal. We have to see tomorrow. But I do like that the earnings is a little higher than it was on a year-over-year basis, and RT is moving higher. Next stock, Home Depot. We liked it as far as the safety. We liked it. It is at 1.4. Stock's in an uptrend. Earnings look great. The stock is really moving up now, hitting a new high over the last year. Hitting a new high over the last year. All right. Let's go to the next one, which is GM. Softening sales in the car industry. GM is feeling that effect, but overall rising in earnings. Rising in earnings, but feeling the effect of slowing car. Let's go do something. I want to add a parameter. Let's go down to sales. Let's go see if sales are falling. Look at that. So over the last year, sales were going, and now starting to fall a little bit. Sales is what drives any company, doesn't it? All right, in order to make money as a company, you got to be selling your stuff. So interesting to watch that the sales are still high, but starting to fall. All right, how about all of this flexibility you have here? How about all of the flexibility you have here? All right, Tesla. Remember I showed you that the Tesla had a CI of 0.48? This is why. This stock is susceptible to long or lengthy price declines. That's why the CI was at 0.48. Now, I had safety on here. It's at 1.04. All right. The stock may or may not hit its earnings. It is favorable, but it's not overly safe. All right. Home Depot was. Ferrari, out of the car companies, how about this has got a nicer, smoother graph. Currently, still below the 20 exponential moving average, but look at the earnings on this. Look at the earnings on Ferrari. Right now, it's trending down. If you don't want to get out of the stock because you like it, play option plays to hold on to the stock. All right, what else is in here? PayPal. PayPal is feeling the effect of possibly another company taking in to take over payments on eBay. Earnings, though, overall is still moving up, but that news, short-term news, may be affecting PayPal's price movement. People could be pulling out of it. All right, next one. Wow. Volkswagen is no joke volatile. Good, Gordon Gin. Boeing announced today they are going to ramp up the 737 MAX production in February. Wait a minute, isn't the plane still grounded, Billy Bob? Isn't the plane still grounded? How are they going to ramp up production if the plane is still grounded? So I'm not sure about that. Unless they got another contract from somebody. I'll take a look at that. But look at the volatility on Volkswagen. Good, Gordon Gin. Be careful with it. Fiat compared to Ferrari, is in going in the other direction, expecting approval in the fourth quarter. Now, if they start ramping up and they still don't get approval, Billy Bob, what happens then? What happens then? All right, so just think about that. They could expect approval, but if it don't happen, all that ramping up will be for naught, unless they go talk to somebody and they do some things, and I'm getting into that. Ford is feeling the effects of possibly, let's go to the sales, are sales falling? Yep. Look at the sales falling in Ford as well, driving their stock's price down. I love being able to justify all of the things that the software is doing. Netflix, sales in Netflix is actually rising, but they're feeling the effects because they're supposed to be losing subscribers, but sales are rising. Not sure how that's going on. All right, Billy Bob says, okay, buy, sell on Boeing. Let me go add Boeing real quick. All right, let me go add Boeing real quick. Let's analyze it real quick. Boeing, all right, undervalued, good upside potential. You know why Boeing is going to have good fundamentals? Because it's a government contracted company. They've been around for a long time. Earnings growth rate 21, earnings to 19. This is a solid company. This is a solid company. Thank you very much for Heine 100. Did I say that right? All right. Thank you very much for following the channel. I appreciate that. Looking at Boeing, let's look at the graph. The fundamentals are there and it's going up. Let's look at the graph. So even with the 737, man, look at that. With the 737, when did they get grounded? Does anybody remember when they got grounded? Maroon said, bought Boeing today. Well, Maroon, I like the idea that you waited for the stock to go above the 20. Big up day today. RT now went from below 1 to above 1. Earnings are still there. Does anybody, mid-March, ta-da! When did the fall happen in the stock? There you go. Is that what happened? Is it mid-March? That's when the stock got grounded? And look at that, bingo. About April this year, March, April, I'll take either one. But look at the stock's price from that point. All right, let's look at the stock's price from that point. So evidently, we do see that it's rising today. We do see that the planes are still grounded. And Billy Bob said they may be getting approval to put it back up in the air in fourth quarter. All right. And I think that if Billy Bob said that, that's probably what's driving the price up now. All right, earnings are still good on the stock. RT went from below 1 to above 1. It is above the 20-day. That may not be a bad play, but I'm going to tell you something. Just in case the stock holds true to form, let me show you that. You see that trend line? At that trend line, that may be a good opportunity to put or take some of it off the table. Do you guys understand that? All right, do you guys understand that? The stock's price nicely up today, above the 20-day exponential moving average. All right, earnings look good. They're still high on a year-over-year basis. Do you understand that that might be a really good possibility to take profits off the table, even if you take half the trade off? Does that make sense? Yes or no? I want everybody in the room to type in. Does that make sense? And analyzing a graph gives you this kind of information so that you know when to possibly know when to get out of the stock. Only Maroon said yes. Nobody else. Does that not make sense to everybody? Badger says, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, but you won't say it. There you go. This stuff really works, and it does. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 times it hit that level of a trend. If you got into it now, this still may be a good opportunity for you to take some off the table just in case it holds true to form. Just in case it holds true to form. You got some money to make. But don't get caught up in the news. Again, Billy Bob, news. What if they don't get approval in the fourth quarter? Do you think that that's going to not drive the stock's price down even more? So just think about it and actually just keep that in mind. That may be a good opportunity to take at least half off the table just in case it breaks above. Just in case it breaks above, you know, you still have some in the game, but take some of your profits, especially if you're going to make profits coming up off of this level of breaking above the 20-day moving average. All right? I'm not saying that they are going to stop at Rhode Island, stop being a pain. Stop it, Rhode Island. Because Joey will put you in timeout. Don't, Billy Bob says Boeing is too big to fail. I don't disagree with that, but we'll lose more if MAX stays canceled. And I don't disagree with you on that. They are losing money with all of those planes being grounded. So they need to hope that the federal, whoever they are, the air people, say that, okay, you're going to be able to put those planes back in the air. And if they do, they better hope and pray that no more of their planes crash. They better hope and pray that no more of their planes crash, because you know something? That'll take that whole plane out of the market. Out of the market. So they need to fix it. Do you think that if they get reapproved again and another plane crashes, that anybody's going to want to buy the plane? Just think about that. And thank you, Steve. I appreciate the bits. You guys have been putting up a lot of bits today. Rhode Island is rocking it, though. So thank you for the bits. I do appreciate it. The FAA, yeah, that's the air people. The FAA, the Federal Association of Air People. Yeah, that's it. Huh? Is that air. Of air? The Federal Association of Air. They control all the air, not just the airplanes, but the air. All right, so there we go. So we got a chance to look at. Oh, one more thing. Providence wanted to look at keys. I'll take a look at that one. Let's go take a look at keys. Fly much, Glenn? I do fly much. I love flying. Keys, number 3. Let's analyze it real quick. Stock is about a little bit overvalued. Good upside potential. The safety is not favorable, but the stock is moving up. So the stock has got good upside potential over the next 1 to 3 years, and it's moving up now. That's why it has a buy. The safety is unfavorable, just a tad bit below. How about the earnings per share at $3.90, growing their earnings at a clip of 24% a year. All right, so who's got the keys to my Beamer? Who am I? The girls, them? Oh, never mind. I'm going to look at the chart. Slow down, Providence. I got you. Let's go view the stock graph. 1 year, nicely moving higher. Did have susceptibility to pull back. Not only that, it rebounded above the 20-day, back and forth between the 20-day. But look at the graph. Big move up today. How about look at the sales? Look at the sales. Look at the earnings. All right, this is a 1 year graph. Look at the RT, the stock's price RT. RT has been above 1 since about June. So the stock's price, but it is a wild ride today. I got some selling pressure at the top, some buying pressure at the bottom, but a nice candle in the middle. All right, nice after the stock gapped up. Nice candle in the middle. All right, so you hopped in yesterday. All right, and let's do this. I'm going to move this over to an intraday 5-minute bar current day. This is intraday what the stock's price is doing. Let's take off the 20. Let's add in the 3 and the 8. Man, graph layouts. Do I have one for Twitch? There we go. And take off the 20. There's the 3 and the 8. The stock's 3 and the 8 from the intraday is down right now. Man, look at that. It's been a good ride. And actually, if I'm trading it right now as a day trade, I might be pulling some of it off right now because the 3 and the 8 just went bearish. The 3 and the 8 just went bearish. Excuse me. All right, I'm done talking. I got a lot of talking in today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's Trending Thursday. For those of you who may be new, this is something that we do every Thursday on Twitch. Next week will be our last week on Twitch at 2. After that, we will be going over to YouTube. If you like the content, we're going to keep the content going, but just on YouTube is a live presentation. So come on over, by all means, please do. The content is going to be new every week because new stuff is trending every week. And we're going to keep you up on what's making the market do what it do and keep you on top of what stocks are in trend or in the news. So now that you can follow them and see if they continue to move in the direction that we're showing it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Now, if you're new to the software or would like refresher information about the software, click on this Getting Started video right here. Thanks to all of your input, here's a YouTube video that we think would be perfect for you. Click right here. If nothing else, folks, just hit the subscribe button right here.